aka Miss WC Reader, and welcome back to my channel. I know what you're thinking. For those of you who've been around for a minute, like, don't you hate when people read for Heritage Months? So yes, I have voiced my opinion strongly the past couple of years about how I hate how the book community treats Heritage Months, where in that people save a lot of their reads by marginalized authors for those specific months, where they kind of pat themselves on the back or give themselves bonus points for reading for specific readathons, where I really feel like they're not properly engaging with these cultures because they only read fictional books, which we can talk about how fictional books then are representing a certain vision and how these publishers, who are usually mostly ran by white people, try to push a specific image of these people that's like a more palatable version. Also, being that most of these publishers are based in New York, they do heavily focus on books by Puerto Rican and Dominican authors because those groups are heavy there, as opposed to people from other Latinx countries who get less representation in the media. We can also talk about anti-blackness within the Latinx community. I have a lot of friends and just people that I follow who are very vocal about this, where in that they don't identify as Latinx despite being from places like Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic and Panama. They would rather identify as Caribbean because of their roots within the Caribbean, and because of how present anti-blackness is within American countries, where they just feel like they are separated compared to other groups. Same with, I've heard people who are indigenous talk about how they don't really identify as Latin American. For example, I remember talking to somebody who is from the Yanomami tribe in Venezuela, and doesn't identify as Venezuelan, even though like his people live there. Like, they identify as their people. They are a specific group that is closed off from like the rest of the country. So I highly recommend just like listening to real people talk, but also reading nonfiction and really doing your research, because I feel like still we see this one image of what Latin American is supposed to look like, and a lot of people think, oh, it's like dark tannish skin and dark hair and brown eyes, and no, it can look a variety of different ways. Also understanding that certain language does not apply. I don't know how many times black people from these communities get to tell people there is no such thing as a white passing no, there is no Spanish phrase for white passing. That was just like not the concept in these countries. That's not the way race necessarily works within their societies. So when we talk about like this white passing, I often see people who have studied like these different groups years and years, who live within these communities, or like, no, that's not the terminology we use. So all that to say, I do want to get into some recs though, because I am tired of seeing the same books over and over again. I love Elizabeth Acevedo Down. I got to talk to her in person twice, and when I got to talk to her in February, that was just amazing. And then being able to go to her family lore launch last year was amazing. But I'm tired of seeing her being the main one featured on these lists, because there are just so many authors out there. And I wanted to just shed a light on a few that I enjoyed. I don't have any Haitian books on this list specifically because I know there is a complicated history there between the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and that involves a lot of anti-blackness. So Haitians, despite being on the same island, most of them do not identify as Latinx or Latino or whatever term you would like to use. And Haitians do have their own Heritage Month in May. So I'm going to go ahead and start with one that I think would be great as far as a non-fiction rec. This one is Plantains and Are Becoming by Melania Luisa Marte. So I did an interview with her earlier this year. I will link it in the description box below. Definitely check that out. It's not spoiler for the book because, again, this is nonfiction. It has a lot of poetry in it, which many of these poems she has performed elsewhere. So some of them you can see on YouTube. But there's also some new stuff. It's part memoir, where she talks about her personal life and her journey with her family. She explores the differences between the Dominican Republic and Haiti and all the conflict there. She also just comments on pop culture in general and how it feels to be a Black woman living in America when you have so many different intersections, as well as touching upon things like new motherhood. So I highly recommend checking her out just in general. She is an amazing voice. This is one that I knew I had to put on this list. This is Sun in the Void by Gabriela Romero Cruz. So first of all, last Latinx Heritage Month, some people on TikTok really tried to start a smear campaign against this book, which I was on Twitter like basically cussing people out because I did not like how everything went down there. It was undeserved. They were calling this book anti-Indigenous. It's not that the book is anti-Indigenous, it's that it is inspired by South America, and South America in general is anti-Indigenous, like all over. I have roots in South America on my mom's side, well, technically on my dad's side too. So like my dad is Trinidadian. My Trini family is like only a couple generations removed from Venezuela. That like we were in Venezuela, immigrated to Trinidad, like a lot of people there. Actually, there's a strong population there, and there's a lot of influence on Trini culture from Venezuela, from different foods that we eat to different traditions that have been carried over. And then my mom's side, her family is from Guyana. I do have family members who are Indigenous there as well. So I actually loved seeing something kind of representative of that. I know from following this author that she is biracial, so I believe her mom is from the Andes region, and then her dad is from the region of Venezuela that's along the Caribbean coast, which it's like two very completely different areas, and there's just a lot of nuance in identity there and different traditions and things. So you see both of those reflected here, as she has these two different girls we're following who are mixed race and on the outskirts of society. There's a lot of looking at colonialism. There's some ancient magic in here, and they're fighting these dark forces. Again, I feel like this book got such a bad rap, but I definitely recommend picking it up if you are interested in reading more South American inspired fantasy. Breakup from Hell by Anne Davia Cardinal was like a fun YA fantasy that a lot of people didn't hear about when it came out last year because it came out during the strike, so no promotion. But it follows this group of kids who find out that they have these special powers that are kind of connected to Christianity. You know that Christianity and specifically Catholicism are huge in an American culture. So we're following a main character who is Rican and Catholic, has always attended Catholic schools, and she ends up dating this boy and finding out that he's actually like a devil. He's like the son of the devil, and things just kind of go awry. I thought this was super fun. It felt almost like throwback to this like paranormal teen stories, and I had a good time with it. Malicia by Stephen Dos Santos is good if you need like a light horror situation. So this is set on a small island off the coast of the Dominican Republic at an abandoned amusement park. This group of teens goes in to film a documentary and uncover the secrets that lie there. The amusement park has been closed since a massacre happened there years earlier. One of the boys lost his mother and brother in the massacre, and one of them is planning on sacrificing the rest to save himself and his coven. Salsa Magic by Leticia Herrero. I found this one to be really enjoyable. I love the way it explores teen girlhood and coming into your own as a woman and all the changes that take place, as well as the way your relationship changes with your family. So our main character here, she is half Mexican, half Puerto Rican. She is starting to have these weird dreams in addition to just balancing everyday life like new school, new crushes, etc. And there's been a lot of whispers over the years of like that one aunt they don't talk to because she's a bruja. And that aunt ends up showing up on their doorstep, and there's a lot of reckoning that has to be done between her grandmother and this aunt. And I found that it kind of like destigmatizes Santeria and the traditional practices that many little things that we take from it, but still call witchcraft. So I thought that was super cool, and I had a good time with this one as well. It was really enjoyable, and it's a super quick read. Also, the audiobook is amazing, and it's almost like a lyrical style. I think if you like Elizabeth Acevedo's work, you will like the writing here as well. I'm including Sunny Hostin because I feel like a lot of people almost like forget she's Puerto Rican as well. She is Black, African American, and then her mother is Puerto Rican, and one of the characters in here also has that mix. But Summer on the Bluffs is set in a community that has historically been a vacation spot for wealthy Black people in the US, including like herself. So she's writing from a place of authenticity here, having lived in the community and experienced people around it. And this is really a story about discovery and the different paths that these women are following in their adult life. If you like women's fiction and you like a nice beach read, I think you'll enjoy this one. Lot Like Adios by Alexis Daria. I love this one down. She just writes things like super sensual love scenes, which I adore. There's always great banter as well. This one is like a second chance romance between former friends who end up reconnecting, and they find like these old feelings resurfacing. It's so good. I have Out of Office. This one is by A.H. Cunningham. So this one was interesting because it's set in Panama. It's a vacation romance, but one of the characters is also from Panama, lives there, has close ties, so you kind of get a different angle that you don't always see in these types of stories, where we're meeting real people who live in these smaller towns, and we're talking about sustainable tourism and how to effectively like market these places as vacation destinations while still keeping them authentic and benefiting the people who live there. In addition, like, we just get like a really steamy romance, but then we have to figure out like how it evolves outside of that when the vacation magic is over. And we're following two characters who are very ambitious in their careers and trying to figure out what more they want in life. If you like historical romance, I recommend reading Compromise into a Scandalous Marriage by Lydia San Andres. She has a couple of other historicals, so if this is your jam, go ahead and check those out as well. This one is set in the historical Dominican Republic, and basically it follows like this woman who has to kind of get into an arranged marriage with this stranger. Super quick read, 8 fluffy with just a little bit of spice. This right here, I haven't read it yet, but I have read other books by this author. So this is Half Resurrection Blues by Daniel Jose Alder. You probably know him a lot now for his work in Star Wars. He also has like a YA series that he completed recently. And This one has been on my TBR for some time, so I put it on my fall TBR because this is definitely going to be my read for the month. But I've heard so many great things about this one. So I will link my recommendations in the description box below if you do buy your books from Amazon and you are interested in purchasing. I do make a small commission if you use these links. Let me know if you are reading any books for Latin American Heritage Month, or if you've read any of these books. And if you like this video, make sure and hit that like button. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!